Let's talk a little bit about resilience. And I'm not talking about the grin and bear it kind. I'm not talking about the rah rah sis boom bah kind. I'm talking about the resilience that really doesn't get enough play. So, one of the things about quiet resilience is unless you're really tuned in or tapped in, you don't always know that it's happening. So, I like to think about it this way. I take a walk each morning as a way to do a lot of things, whatever. But I see some really, really beautiful shifts in the seasons. And so, for the shift that I'm seeing right now, it is preparation as nature is getting ready to go from winter into spring. And so, I'm noticing some really tiny buds that's popping up in different areas. For those of you that's in Florida, and for those of you who aren't in Florida, I'm sure some people are like, it's Florida, it's always green. There's some truth to that. But there's also some really obvious changes in the seasons that happen here too, especially if you pay attention. So anyway, when I take a walk, I notice these tiny buds on these trees. I notice these tiny seedlings that's coming out. I notice some of the shifts that's happening with the flowers and with the bushes and with some of the trees that's along my route. And so what is really just simple and connected and beautiful about that is how that speaks to our quiet resilience. We don't question if winter will turn into spring. We know that it will. We know, even if we aren't fully aware, that even as the trees get bare, there's work that's happening within its roots, within its trunk, within its branches, and that work that's happening will eventually turn into buds, and buds will eventually turn into sprouts, and sprouts will eventually bloom, right? Our resilience is the same way. What happens though is we don't notice the resilience or we don't notice the bloom until we see changes happening outside of us and in our lives. Until we see changes happening outside of us and in our lives. It's a beautiful thing to notice when shift and transformation is happening. And I want to remind everybody, by the time you see something happening in your life, there's been a whole lot that's been happening inside of you. Tap into that. Tap into that part of quiet resilience that recognizes there has been work that's happened within you. There has been work happening under the surface. Your roots have been working. Your trunk has been working. Your branches have been working. That there has been work that's happened to provide the seedling, to provide the bud that turns into the sprout that goes into the bloom. Connect to your quiet resilience. Resilience is not a call to grin and bear it. Resilience is not, it is not saying that anything is okay and nothing should be done. It is a quiet knowing. It is a trust. It is a truth in knowing from one moment to the next, this is inevitable. This power within is inevitable. The strength that you have is here. We don't question the change of the seasons. We know it's coming. Do you know that there is work happening within you? And the truth is, if you don't know that there's work happening within you, then you got a job to do. You have work to do. If you don't know, if you don't trust that there are things happening within you, then get to work on you, your soul work. If you do know, if you do trust that there is work happening within you, even before you see any changes in your life, embrace that, connect to that, recognize that, appreciate that. That is no small thing. So I want to encourage everybody, connect to your quiet resilience. Connect to the truth of knowing that you engage in your work and so that there's always something being done and budding.